amazing wisdom,
entrepreneurs,
business leaders,
success,
CEOs,
amazing success
around the world.
This is the Success Nuggets podcast. Have you ever wondered what you could learn and how inspired you'd be if you asked incredible people from around the world about the patterns that drive progress? Get ready to dive into a world of insights and inspiration. This is the Success Nuggets podcast with the founder of the Digital Light Bulb and your host, David Abel.
Right, folks, strap yourself in for an incredible Success Nuggets podcast. Put your tray tables away because in a few seconds' time, we are joined by a man who worked his fingers to the bone to create one of the biggest and best brands, yes, in the world. Reebok founder Joe Foster, thanks so much for your time today.
David, it's a pleasure, as always. Nice to meet you again.
Good to see you, Joe. Classics on the move. Joe, you seem to be cramming more into retirement than some do in a lifetime. What's keeping you going?
Well, nobody told me to stop. And I think that's the thing, that if you don't stop, why stop? So I just keep going, and if it accelerates, then fine. It's sort of downhill. I'm not really working hard uphill. I'm going downhill. You can speed up at that point. But when somebody tells me to stop, well, maybe I'll listen, maybe not.
Excellent. Joe, I see you on social media. Do you know about TikTok influencers and people dancing to music?
We know all about that, but don't ask me to dance.
So on that, of course, it was a leading question. How did you get to the #1 shoe brand in the world?
Well, I guess we had a lot of luck. We had a lot of fun, and we just kept looking for new ideas, those white spaces, and, finding aerobics. That was the biggest white space. It was almost a bubble. It was incredible, that one. And that's the one that took us from 9 million to 900 million. So if you just look for something a bit different, and you're willing to play with things like pump, those are massive marketing opportunities.
Yeah.
It's not the technology, it's where it takes you with the marketing opportunity. So that's how we managed to get to #1. And it was a great ride, and it's still fun.
Talking of fun, on the Reebok pump, I remember the innovative shoe that kind of locked and you pumped up, and you did a lot of marketing events like taking over the London Marathon. Any ones in particular that stick in your mind that you got up to?
I did one thing in particular. Well, we invented or discovered or made Reebok Racing Club, because you're talking about marathons, and we had a lot of good athletes, but not many of those would actually win the marathon, certainly the big ones and the city ones. And the city ones were always on TV.
Yeah.
So we invented Reebok Racing Club. We got all our men invest with Reebok Racing Club on. And we must have had 6 or 7 good athletes. And we said, right, we know you won't win, but we'd given them all the key gear. You go to the front and stay there as long as you can. And that got us on television for 20 miles. For us, that was a wonderful coup, because I think it took Nike a long time to sort of cotton on to what was happening with all this television of Reebok Racing Club.
Yeah.
That was a great event.
Wow, that's a great story. Let's give the audience something, Joe, in terms of the show question, patterns that create progress. What have you implemented in your time or continue to for patterns that create progress?
Well, I think any pattern that creates a progress is you've got to develop relationships. And I think developing relationships, you do make that progress. It's amazing. You meet somebody and they introduce you to somebody else, and all of a sudden you've got another thing in common. And it's those lines that I used to follow and still do. That when we meet somebody, and as we did with the other day, that guy is a great guy to meet with. We've been introduced to a guy now who used to be sort of right-hand man to Obama. He was at the White House, and now we can just tap on his door and say, can we visit the White House?
Yeah.
Yes, we can visit the White House. So, all those connections are great. And, this part of life, okay, we're not too interested in building a new Reebok, but we are interested in having fun.
Yeah.
And meeting a lot of people.
What if you were in business today? Would you still go after shoe garment technology, or would you try a different course?
You never know. I probably would do it. I think that if you want to go do something different, you've got to be fairly young, or you've got to have a team that is able to drive something fairly different.
Yeah.
And, I'm still an old shoe dog, as it were.
Okay. Joe, you're 89 years of age.
Yes.
Grumpy old man. That's not you, is it?
I hope not. I hope it's some other, although Julie is now laughing in the background and choking us up.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, if you are a grumpy old man, I can't imagine what you were like when you first started in your early 20s, because you're such an optimistic and inspirational guy. And I guess that moves us on to what you're up to these days. You have your own shoemaker book. You've created one book called Survive and Thrive. Another's on the way. How's that community changed things for you in the last few years?
Well, again, because of the technology we have now, we have Zoom, we have computers, we have smartphones, and it's using that technology really to, well, help open doors, help if somebody wants something and we have a door that we can open, we try and do that. It doesn't always work, but it does help. It does give somebody an extra step. And we love doing that. That's why we love doing these Zooms, and we've done 150 podcasts. But yeah, I think this is wonderful, because had I had this when I was 25, wow, I can't believe what we could have done. We did it over 25 years.
Oh, that's lovely. Okay, Joe, this is a really short show, and it's in conjunction with one golden nugget. What one golden nugget for life could we leave the audience on?
Well, I think my golden nugget is always keep going, but don't forget to have fun.
Beautiful. Well, everyone, you heard it here first. Hey, Joe, just before we go, is the 1924 Paris 100-year Olympics.
Right. Yeah, so that's 100 years since my grandfather, who made the shoes, and they were, I think it was Harold Abrahams. It was either 100 meters or 200. I can't remember now exactly what it was. But Harold Abrahams and Eric Liddell, I think both won their gold medals in Paris 100 years ago. That's fantastic, isn't it? 100 years ago. Well done, Grandad.
Oh, excellent stuff. Joe, I'm sorry it's the end of the show. You're a welcoming friend. You're an inspirational legend. Thank you for sharing those gifts. Thanks for coming on. Can you believe it, folks? A dream to chat to such a visionary. We'll catch you soon, Joe.
Thank you, David.
Join David and his incredible guests next time on the Success Nuggets podcast. And to find out more, visit onegoldennugget.com. Thank you for listening.